I'm worried for our republic, and I'm worried about the future of our society. I denounce violence of any kind, abhor violence, denounce political violence. That is not the society we aspire to be. I've been thinking about how I could possibly add anything constructive to the conversation that's not already been said. Here's what I came up with. If you are thinking of harming anyone, including yourself, please seek some help. If you are thinking of engaging in a violent act, please call someone right now. Tell a friend, tell your minister, tell a family member, call 988. Do it now. Get off the internet and reach out for help. I know there's someone out there who cares about you, who loves you, and does not want to see you hurt yourself or anyone else. And do me a favor, help me spread this message. I did not agree with Charlie Kirk. I did not agree with his political opinions. I did not agree with his tactics. But he did not deserve to be killed. Melissa Hortman and her husband did not deserve to be killed. Nor did the children at Annunciation School in Minneapolis, or the children at Uvalde, or Sandy Hook, or Columbine, or Virginia Tech, or Parkland, or 1,000 other places that I could name on a list that continues to grow. The truth is that none of us right now are safe. We are not safe at political rallies. We are not safe at our places of our worship. We are not safe at our jobs, at our schools, at colleges. We're not safe at the store or at concerts. I agree for all victims of violence. As a historian, I've been thinking about why violence and political violence is on the rise. Like most problems, I don't think that there's one simple cause and one simple solution. It's probably a multifaceted problem. First, violence and political violence have always been part of our history as human beings and part of our history as the United States. Maybe we want to talk about that or acknowledge it because it's not particularly putting us in the best of lights. But it is the truth. Throughout our history as a nation, we've had duels, riots, domestic terrorist attacks, assassinations. You probably know a lot of the names of the victims of assassins: Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William Goebel, William McKinley, Huey Long, Anton Shermack, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., George Moscone, Harvey Milk, Harry and Harriet Moore, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon. I could go on and on. Some of the assassinations from our past were politically motivated. I know there's been someone detained with the murder of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to try to. I'm not going to try to pathologize or guess as to their motives. So I'm not commenting on that. But in our history, many of the assassins, like Charles Guiteau and Leon Czolgosz, probably had mental health problems rather than being aligned with a particular political ideology. There has been a stark increase in politically motivated violence in this country in the past few decades, as well as mass shootings. So here's another reality of the situation. We do not have enough access to affordable mental health services. There have been severe cutbacks in funding for mental health services since the 1980s, and I think that's part of the problem. Of course, the political rhetoric has also gotten worse. I will not support any candidate or politician that urges their supporters to use physical violence or to harm their political opponents. But I don't think it's the political rhetoric alone causing these problems. It's clear that we are awash in a sea of guns. I'm a gun owner and I enjoy shooting sports. But we must do better in keeping guns out of the hands of the mentally ill or anyone going through a mental health crisis. But here's where I think the problem really is. What is different now than it had been in the decades before? We are isolated. We do not know how to talk to one another or how to debate one another. I think that iPhones, social media have driven wedges in our society and created an us versus them mindset. I have friends and family members and neighbors with whom I have profound political disagreements. I do not hate them. I do not wish them harm. And somehow we've lost the ability to have debates, to disagree cordially. Some of that is due to the rhetoric, custom humanities education, but I bet it's mostly due to the fact that we mainly argue online. We can use the cloak of anonymity and instantaneousness of social media to spew and say hateful things that we would never say in person. In the old days, if you disagree with somebody and you wanted to do it publicly, you had to write a letter to an editor. So you had to type out your letter. You had to get an envelope, address the envelope, put a stamp on it so it cost you a little something. Then you had to wait a few days when it went through the mail as you sent it to the newspaper. Then the editor of the newspaper had to decide whether to print it or not. Probably by the time that you finished typing it out and sent it off and so forth, you're probably a lot less angry. And by the time it got to the newspaper and was printed, you may have even forgot that you wrote it in the first place. Social media has also clearly not been good for our mental health. These these companies, and I understand the irony of me speaking to you on social media right now, but these companies want to keep us engaged for as long as possible on their platforms. It is easiest to keep you engaged by inducing negative emotions of outrage, hate, fear, and jealousy. So that's what the social media platform does. It shows you the next thing that they want you to click, and it's probably going to cause you outrage or anger. That's going to show you that something that's the most likely to have you let you have negative emotions. We've adopted new technologies without understanding their consequences on our mental health or on our society. Again, I think that many assassins, would be assassins or terrorists, may be suffering from mental health problems rather than acting alone out of ideology. Under this duress of a constant barrage of negative emotions from social media, the 24-hour news cycle that we're always on our phones, we cannot think clearly. We struggle to be centered, to be happy, to be contemplative. We struggle to be bored. We're never bored anymore. For some of us, we fall down rabbit holes and become unstable and give in to emotional problems. When you feel this way, maybe it is time to unplug from your device, go for a walk, have a cup of coffee, play a musical instrument, talk to a friend. Yesterday, we also remembered 9/11. As horrible as 9/11 was, it united us for one short, fleeting moment. People say, never forget, but I think we forgot. We're divided, maybe now more than any time since before the Civil War. Just like everyone else who was alive and can remember 9/11, I'll never forget where I was. I was working for Purdue Sports, and I was at Mackey Arena, of all places, where my office was. And the guy who had the office across the hall from me, his brother was in the Navy and worked at the Pentagon. So this guy was frantically trying to reach his brother to find out if he was still alive. And it took hours for him to find out that, yes, indeed, his brother had survived the attacks because the switchboards were so jammed up, the telephones, it was so hard to get a telephone call through. But even more memorable to me than remembering where I was when I heard about the 9/11 attack was the first home football game that Purdue hosted after the attack, after they were allowed to have events again and to play games again and so forth. I remember the first Purdue game because there's a tradition at home Purdue football games, and I think it's one of the great Purdue traditions. There's some other Purdue traditions that aren't so great. This is one of the best ones, and this is where the Purdue fans say this little speech, "I am an American." And I can remember that distinctly. It was the first game back after the attack that it was a sellout. Purdue was good, which is also not not very commonplace sometimes, but Purdue was having a good season, and it was a sold out crowd, over 60,000 people, and the Purdue crowd said this speech, which they always say at Purdue home football games, called "I am an American." If you're not familiar, this is how it goes: "I am an American." That's the way most of us put it, just matter of factly. They are plain words, these four. You could write them on your thumbnail or sweep them across this bright autumn sky. But remember, too, that they are more than just words. They are a way of life. So whenever you speak them firmly, speak them proudly, speak them gratefully. I am an American. They always say that at Purdue games. And I really remember that after 9/11, about that crowd of over 60,000 people, united, steadfast, putting aside differences for the moment to say that speech and enjoy a fall day, watch a home football game. Another point of view is from thought about when I was preparing this um, video was what Martin Luther King Jr. said about hate and about violence. He said, "Returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hate multiplies hate. Violence multiplies violence. And toughness multiplies toughness in a descending spiral of destruction." So when Jesus said, "Love your enemies," he is setting forth a profound and ultimately inescapable admonition. Have we not come to such an impasse in the modern world that we must love our enemies, or else? The chain reaction of evil, hate begetting hate, must be broken, or we shall be plunged into the dark abyss of annihilation. I'm not really sure how to make things better. I don't have any policy prescriptions. I'm not in charge of very much. I don't know how to make things better except for what I just said. So I'll say it again. If you are thinking of harming anyone, including yourself, please get help now. If you are thinking of engaging in a violent act, please call someone right now. Tell a friend, tell a family member, call 988. Do it, and do it now. Get off the internet, reach out for help. There is someone out there who loves you, who cares about you, and does not want to see you hurt yourself or hurt anyone else. Hey, thanks for listening. Take care of yourself. We're all in this together.